All right, let's jump in. So again, thanks everybody for joining. This is Amy King with GradLeaders, and once again, we're bringing to you one of our virtual employer presentations. And today we have the pleasure of welcoming Whitney Hoskins and Mary Kyle of FNBO, who have been leveraging our GradLeaders recruiting platform for the last couple of seasons. And we're very pleased to have them with us today to tell you a little bit about their company and their recruitment processes, who they're looking for, and how you can get in touch with them. So without further ado, I will throw it over to you, Whitney and Mary, and thank you both so much for your time today. We're very appreciative of you being willing to do this for us.
Great, thank you, Amy, and thanks everyone who's joining us today. We really appreciate your time to hear a little bit about FNBO, previously known as First National Bank of Omaha. The organization actually went through a rebrand towards the last quarter of 2019. So during the presentation, you may hear me say FNBO or First National, just so that way you have awareness. So thank you. So we'll move just a little bit on introductions. So we have my colleague with me today, Mary Kyle, who is the senior technology recruiter for us and also the business partner in the technology space. Additional to me, Whitney Hoskins, who is a senior recruiter for our talent acquisition space. And my focus for my role is really around our collegiate environment. So a little bit about FNBO. We actually are the largest privately owned bank in the United States. And we are headquartered right in the middle of the Midwest in Omaha, Nebraska. As you can see here on the map that I've shared on the side, shows the 6 other states that we operate in. So really focused in the Midwest, except for Texas, a little bit outside of that area. So we have been in organization since 1857, so over 160 years we've been in business. We truly have grown with the city of Omaha, as they were actually incorporated the same year that we were as a business. So we have seen so many changes in Omaha as a city, as they have seen so many changes with us, and we are truly involved in that community. Additionally, we are an organization of around a little over 4,500 employees. The majority of those are in the Omaha area. However, they're kind of dispersed throughout the other states that we are in. And we have over 100 retail banking locations. So in those additional 6 states that we are housed in, the majority of those actually are banking branches that are in those locations. However, we have lenders, mortgage opportunities, and some investment opportunities in those other states as well. So a little bit about the work that we do that we're very proud to share. So for 2020, we were considered highest in customer satisfaction with retail banking in the Midwest for J.D. Power. For money, we were considered a best bank in the Midwest, and then for Forbes, also a best bank in America. And I believe our rank was about 15, I think is what that is. Mary, correct me if I'm wrong. Additionally, we are one of the top 15 commercial card issuers in the country. So that segment of our business is called First Bank Card. So just as a reference to where you may have seen us and you didn't realize, is some of our bank card partners are Chrysler, Jeep, MGM, so part of the MGM Grand family, Shields Retail, and then our most recent partner is Ford Motors. So like I said, you may not have known that that is part of our business, but I'm sure you have had some business with those individuals before. Lastly, we are actually the 4th largest agricultural lender in the country. So that is something that, being in the Midwest, having so many of our customers, individuals who fit into that ag business space, is something that we're extremely proud of, and that really means a lot to our company, as well as the people that live in our footprint. So now I will actually move to Mary and let her talk a little bit about her area in technology.
Awesome. Thanks, Whit. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, can hear you.
Super odd just to see my screen, but not to see any faces. So, so I moved over to First National, or FNBO, a year ago, May. I've been in the technology, recruiting, and placement space for about 18 years. Something that really stood out to me about our technology space at the bank is really what we're doing in terms of the modernization, which I'll get to, but also how we're embracing agile. I'm sure that's somewhat familiar with folks in our software development space, and other things that we're doing to create a strong work environment. So first on agile, that is a tool or platform that's used in technology primarily as a way to break projects down into more consumable bites, if you will, or into sprints. It's something that the bank had a transition into. We started adopting that methodology a few years ago. And with any organization our size and that's been around as long as we have, of course, there have been a few bumps in the road with different pockets of the bank that haven't really been that interested in the change. So it's been a really interesting journey, being able to adapt how we use agile and how we partner with the business from the technology side. The other thing I wanted to talk about is emergenetics. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with emergenetics. I've used it at a couple of places in the past, but it's a great tool to really understand how to communicate with your team, how to communicate across teams, and just to understand how individuals operate, what their breakdown is, if they're social or intellectual. And of course, I'm not going to remember the four right now, but it's a very interesting tool that we are adopting more across the bank, even now with COVID. So we actually have some trainings coming up to make sure that all of our leaders in technology have, completed an emergenetics profile, and then have the ability to share that with their teams and make sure their teams are also trained up on it. In terms of modern, flexible workplace and COVID response, it's interesting. I'm sure you've all heard that employers are really pushing, or have been pushing for, people in seats. We want you in the office. We need you here, especially in technology, to collaborate and to get work done. Since COVID, I've seen a complete shift. The leaders in the past that really took that hard stance of, nope, I need people here, not remote, they've become much more flexible. And we've really seen a great response from our employees. I think part of that is due to the fact that our technology group was able to quickly get our employees up and operating remotely. We actually had like a trial run. So over 4,000 people or thereabout logging into our system at the same time to make sure that we all had access and that our system would have that capacity. So current state, we're still in this COVID mess. We only have a handful of folks on site at the bank, whether that's different bank branches or even at our headquarters or main bank. And as we move forward, having conversations around modern, flexible workplace, what that's going to look like moving forward. And I would say that today, our stance is we'll likely have our technology teams on site collaborating a couple of days a week, once that's a safe thing to do. But until then, I would say that we'll likely never all be back in the office the way we were before COVID. Technology interns and development, we have been really trying to ramp up our technology intern program over the past few years. It's been an area where we've had so many other things going on that we then have to get leadership on board to commit to training the interns up and commit to spending and investing time. So that's a newer area for us, but we have had a tremendous amount of success. I want to say over the past 24 months, every intern in technology that we've had, we have hired on full-time. The great thing about that is just we've got this older workforce in technology, and so we can start bringing in, students and interns and, first year grads and get them into the technology group at the bank, kind of train them up, have them learn from these more senior folks and help to build our workforce out. You can go to the next slide, Whit. Thanks. Upcoming technology at the bank. We've got a bunch of things happening. Probably our largest project across technology is modernization. So when you think about the bank, you think about mainframe and these old legacy systems. You think about COBOL and base 24, all of those. We're in a position now where we have to start planning for the future and start planning for how we're going to modernize all of those systems. So that's a big project that we're I would say in the middle of, but we're not probably even a 10th of the way into it. This will be a large project. But the interesting part is to really understand how we can take these employees who have been at the bank a long time and maybe are more on this legacy system and have them start to learn some of the newer systems. So we're teaching them Java and we're getting them introduced to API and other things. So it's a great way to build our workforce with these interns, and then also to kind of train up and have other opportunities for current workforce for maybe some of these roles that are going away. Digital banking is huge. Digital banking, I'm sure we all use our cell phones for a lot of our banking. I know that I do, my kids do. It's been a very big push for us. We actually have a couple of special projects going on. We partner with 11FS out of London, and we have a partnership with Carbon 5 out of Chicago, just to have them help us get to where we need to be before we actually are able to fully staff up those teams. So just the planning, kind of the roadmap, those sorts of things. I wanted to touch on our innovation and disruption team. They're actually outside of technology, but I've worked closely with them. They've done some really interesting things, especially in that ag space. This year they had 4 interns come in. They partnered with, oh goodness, Whitney, I might need you to tell me what it's called. They partnered with the
Startup Collaborative.
Startup Collaborative, thanks, which is an external partner in Omaha that helps with startups across Nebraska, helps to train folks up, get businesses funding. So these students came in, had an amazing experience. One we have hired on full time, and I believe the other 3 in that space have gone back to school for the fall. API first, that's really how we're trying to move things forward. API is, I guess in layman's terms, you probably heard of it, API, microservices, etc. It's really the ability for companies to take 2 different programs that weren't designed to communicate and be able to link them together. So it makes things a lot more seamless, easy to get things done, to have the teams work together, and so on.
Wonderful. One of the last areas that I want to touch on is development. This is a piece that I believe is highly important for the organization, for their employees. Mary touched on it a bit in a sense, discussing how we have had interns that we have moved full time. And that is something, thinking about a pipeline at the bank, that we're excited about, and that's important. But also there's the piece of the employees that we already have and how we see their career and want to move their career along. So career advancement is something that we see as highly valuable in making sure that your employees are happy, making sure that they feel excited about where their future is going. There's a couple different pieces of that. One, I can speak for myself, as I started at First National as an intern, and I've actually in the past 3 years am now in my 3rd role, just to the fact of being able to have that time and be able to work through different programs that I've been part of to help advance my career while I have been with the bank. So that's one piece. Another piece, so on the talent acquisition team that Mary and I sit on, we at all different times have employees reach out to us from different areas in the bank, helping with resumes, talking about what their next moves are, what they should do to further their education in order for them to move where they see the best fit for themselves, or maybe our managers do a really great job of having conversations with their employees to understand what their long-term career goals are. So that's a great piece. Another piece that's also important in the development of our employees is community impact. As I said earlier, First National has grown with Omaha as a city. One great piece about that is if you come visit Omaha, you will truly see how connected First National and our employees are to the area that we're in. So for that, the company allows 8 hours for each employee to be able to use to volunteer. So during work hours or however that looks, whether that's individual or sometimes we'll have teams that get together that do habitat builds. So that's kind of an exciting space. We see that, the community impact piece, as very important part as your employment development as well. Because for us, we like to think about what it's like to be in our customer's shoes. So that's kind of part of that. Next, I'll talk a little bit about our internship programming, specifically in the summer. So I put this under development in the sense that even though some interns may be with us for 3 months, some may be with us for a full academic year, and we have some that stay on longer. For us, it's important, regardless of what that time frame is that they're with us, that they have the opportunity not just to have something to put on their resume, but truly to be able to grow for themselves. So we will have professional development opportunities. We have career coaching. So another one of my colleagues that I work closely with, she handles the programming. So for each of our interns throughout the summer, she sets up meetings with them initially just to talk to them about what they're expecting from the summer, what they're expecting from the remainder of their school career, and what their career goals are. So that way we could see how we can help them and whether that is giving them the opportunity to connect with people across the business to learn a little bit about the work that they do. So that's a highly important piece that we feel, like I said, even if the intern may not be with us long term, but that's something that we want them to take with them and help in their growth. Another piece, we have a learning and development department. So, excuse me. So for this department, they do multiple things. They handle all of our training that takes place across the bank, whether that's customer care training, teller training, training for our lenders, learning new programs, or learning how to make sure that they're all consistent with how they're handling their business. Additionally, through this department, we have access to the LinkedIn Learning modules. So we have had this as an organization for, I would say, a little over a year now. So at any point in time, anyone in the company could just go to this module through our system and just pick what they want to learn about, whether that is project management, learning to run a meeting properly. It can vary just from all spans. And lastly, kind of an additional piece of that that's extremely important in making sure that people have the opportunity to take their professional growth any direction that they would like to, is our tuition assistance program. So after a year of employment, this is a benefit that is given to all employees, including interns. So the time that interns start with us, they are an employee. So that time counts towards that year. So we've had a lot of our collegiate students who work in some of the other areas outside of Omaha who work part-time for us, who they've been with us for a year, and they all now have the opportunity to take advantage of this tuition assistance benefit. So it's just been highly beneficial for them to be able to continue their education while working with us and growing their career. So that's all that we have for you today. On the splash page, just sharing a little bit that if you would like to learn a little bit more about careers that we may have open that would be beneficial for your students, or learn a little bit about some of the resources that we offer, fnbo.com/careers, and then on the screen, also the contact information for me and Mary, our emails, and then please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. We're both very active on there and share about different things that are going on at the bank and different opportunities that we participate in. So feel free to connect with us to be able to learn more.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Whitney and Mary. That was fantastic. And I can attest for the fact that Whitney is very LinkedIn busy, as I am. So I'm always looking out for the new things that you're posting. So good job, Whitney. So I failed to say this at the onstart, but if anybody has any questions they would love to pose to Whitney or Mary, please feel free to enter them in the chat right now. And Heather, who is the host, will be able to read those aloud to you and Whitney, Mary, if that would be helpful. But yeah, we've got a couple of minutes left to take any questions.
I say, don't be shy.
So the first question, if you can't see it, Whitney, it says, do you have a need for MBA students?
I will say yes. So for us, in one way that I like to kind of explain our recruiting process and things at First National from the sense of kind of collegiate pipeline standpoint, there's a lot of organizations who have very timed sort of windows that they recruit in. For us, it's a consistent process. For us, it's about finding the right fit and the best person to go with that. For the FNBO culture, it truly is finding that fit. So for us, MBA students and those that have this extra set of skills or this new knowledge or this advancement for themselves is something that we definitely look for and that we're excited to see. And I think that for any of your students, or if for any of you at the Career Service Center want to reach out to, that way me or Mary could share a little bit more about kind of some of the specific needs that maybe some of your MBA students are looking for in opportunities, then please feel free to connect.
Thanks, Whitney. So it looks like we have more than a couple of business schools on the line because there's a couple of follow-up questions to that already. The first one is, do you have an internship program? So I know you spoke, about that you're looking for that type of talent, but is there an internship program specifically for MBA students? And if so, can you describe it?
So for us, we have had programs, and it's not an internship, but we have had programs for our undergrad and for MBA students. What I will tell you right now in the time of COVID and what 2020 has sort of brought to us, we're not really sure where we stand on that for this year or the upcoming year. But yes, in the past, we have had an executive program. It's what we call an executive development program for individuals who have completed their MBA. And so for that program, they have the opportunity to be able to speak with, take a year to be able to speak with individuals all across the bank in different business units, as well as the opportunity to be part of 2 high-level projects that are generally sort of larger initiatives at the bank.
Terrific, thank you. So what we'll do is we'll make sure all of our partners, whether they were able to join today or not, have that information. So if some of their MBA students have interest in FNBO, they can reach out to you guys directly. Couple more questions here. Let's see, it says, will you have positions in for a new graduate of software engineer or in a data scientist and business analytics roles? Do you have positions in those spaces?
Yeah, I can take that. We do, and we will. So we are primarily a Java shop. We've got some Microsoft, some .NET on the back end for some of our older systems, and then of course legacy. But we're always looking for talent, especially in that dev space and the software dev space. So yes, absolutely.
Terrific. Is FNBO open to international students?
So here's how I'll phrase that. From a internship standpoint, there are some international students actually that will be starting under me here in a couple of weeks that are international students. So from an internship perspective, that is something that we can do. And I guess I'll let Mary speak a little bit more about that full-time piece, as I think she kind of sees more of that international piece in her space.
Sure. So unfortunately, it's been very difficult the past few years to start any type of H-1B sponsorship and to get it approved through immigration. I've been involved in a number of those where these students or, entry-level folks within the company really are not getting taken care of. And it's not, I don't want to get political. I don't think it's fair. So I would say that today it's really difficult given the political climate for us to do any sponsorships. However, I do have some flexibility, and I just found this out yesterday from our external counsel on doing some H-1 transfers. So for some of those more difficult to fill positions, if someone already has started the H-1 process and has an H-1, we can easily transfer those. But to actually start that sponsorship process and sponsor, I would say right now it's really next to impossible.
Got it. And it's okay, Mary. I don't think it's fair either. So you're not alone, and I'm sure lots of folks on the call agree with you. But okay, a couple other questions here with a few minutes left. A few of them are private, so let me just kind of like scroll through here. There's a couple I'm going to lump together. First is, if you found the right person with the right fit, would you consider 100% remote? And I'm going to lump that, and I'll let you answer both. The next one is also around how it says, for team members to be able to work in person a few days a week, can you discuss how you might address relocation questions?
So for this question, I would definitely say we are in a constant state of conversation around this piece. So I'll start off by saying, for the team that me and Mary sit on, we actually have one individual in Colorado, one in Illinois. This is how it has been for years. So the bank has been open to individuals that kind of sit in seats in our other states that are in our footprint, that we kind of have remote teams. As far as now, due to sort of the changes with 2020, this is something that we definitely are kind of addressing and looking at different. So we've recently, I know I was helping one of our other teammates who had an individual who they live in Ohio. And so they're starting with us in Ohio, but the manager said, let's just have them stay there, and then we'll kind of see how things go, whether it moves. Now, I'm saying that and sharing that in the sense that this is a typical conversation right now, as deciding, since we have worked from home since March, I think it's really changing a lot of people's thought process to say, hey, if we've done it for this long, I think looking remotely is something that we can consistently start doing. So I think even when that time comes, and for those individuals that are remote, I don't think that it's not one of those things that the organization is going to be like, well, you now have to fly in at least a couple times a year to do that. I think them working where they are and being part of the team will still be something that the bank continues to be comfortable with. And Mary, share if you have any other thoughts on that, please.
Sure. I've seen a huge shift in technology with the appetite for remote work. And it's really been, here's an example. I actually hired someone that started last week from Minnesota, and they will be full-time remote. We'll likely have to come on site once we're at that point of having folks back on site, maybe a couple times a year, but there's zero expectation that they would move. And then I have a BI architect starting out of Denver. So same thing, no expectation that we're going to have them move. They're able to work remote. So I think it really depends. There's not a blanket rule or kind of approach to it, but within technology, if that VP and director support it, then we're able to do it. And we do have folks who have been remote for a number of years that support different areas of technology. It just hasn't been a widespread thing or widespread consideration.
All right, thanks guys. And I know we're right at our time, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but there's one more question if you can quickly answer, but then we'll direct everybody else their questions back to you guys following the call. It is, can you discuss application timing for the MBA and MSBA roles?
I think that our application timing is different. So for example, the executive program that I spoke about earlier, that's one of those sort of long-term timelines, in the sense that generally we start around September, and then we will not let individuals they won't conclude until generally the end of November, beginning of December. Then the program won't start till the following summer. For internships, for example, the recruiting for those starts from the fall and actually will go all the way until the spring. For our full-time roles, those honestly depend on the role, how those come up. So that won't be set. It really comes down to the needs of the business. And sometimes it honestly comes down to how competitive a position is. We've had positions that we plan to recruit for several weeks, for a month, whatever that looks like. And due to sort of the demand and the excitement of people who are applying for it, that timeline gets changed pretty quickly. Mary, I'll let you share a little bit sort of about the specifics of technology space.
I think you've covered it. It varies, and we're always looking for strong candidates within those skill sets within that the MBA program and so on. I got distracted. I hope I answered that correctly. Admittedly, I was looking at a Jabber that just popped up. Busted.
You got it.
Did I? Okay, good. I feel like one of my kids is here, like mom. So, okay. That's funny.
Yeah, but like I said, if you guys have any more detailed questions, or if you, like I said, take a look at our website and see something specific that you think would be of interest for any of your students, then please, like I said, let us know, and we can kind of let you know a little bit more detail on this.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Whitney and Mary. This has been really illuminating and wonderful, and you're both just such a pleasure. Love seeing those smiles. And we will get this presentation, the recording edited and sent out to everybody. And you heard from the ladies. If you have questions, reach out, connect with them on LinkedIn, and hopefully we'll make some hiring magic. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.